If someone had told me the only place left was beside me, I'd have apologized to the empty chair. The music was soft, distant, and cry beautiful. Strings hummed, glasses clinked, and laughter danced somewhere far away. Somewhere she no longer belonged. Iris adjusted the hem of her navy blue dress, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the cold metal of her wheelchair. The scent of roses and champagne drifted through the air, thick and suffocating, and she tried not to look at the altar, where the couple exchanged vows under golden light. It wasn't that she didn't believe in love anymore. She did too much. Maybe that was the problem. She believed in it so deeply that watching it slip through her hands once had broken something she still didn't know how to fix. Her reflection in the glass doors looked foreign. 3 years since the accident. 2 since she'd last danced. 1 since she'd stopped hoping. The wedding wasn't even supposed to hurt this much. It was her cousin's, not hers. But every toast, every promise, every glance exchanged between the bride and groom sliced through her like tiny invisible blades. And still she stayed because walking away wasn't an option anymore, and rolling away would draw too many eyes. She wanted to vanish quietly. She wanted to be invisible. And then the chair beside her moved. A flash of crimson filled her vision, and before Iris could look away, a woman sat down next to her. The stranger wore a red satin dress that caught every fragment of candlelight and threw it back like fire. Her hair fell in loose waves over bare shoulders, her perfume subtle and dangerous. "Mind if I sit here?" she asked, her voice low and melodic, the kind that belonged to someone who had never once been ignored in her life. Iris blinked. "It's a free seat," she managed, trying not to stare. The woman smiled, her lipstick the same deep red as her dress. "Good, because I hate sitting alone at weddings." She tilted her head, eyes gleaming. "I'm Elena." Iris's heart stuttered. There was something about her, an ease, a warmth, an unspoken challenge hiding in that gaze. "Iris," she replied softly. Elena smiled wider. "Iris." She repeated the name like it meant something, and somehow it did. As the ceremony continued, Iris realized she hadn't thought about pain, or the weight of her legs, or the whisper of pity in the eyes of strangers. She was thinking only about the woman in red sitting beside her, who smelled like confidence and summer rain, who asked her questions as if every answer mattered. When the couple kissed, the crowd cheered, and Iris clapped. Really clapped for the first time in years. Elena leaned closer and whispered, "You have the most beautiful smile here. You know that." Iris froze, heat flooding her chest. For the first time in so long, she didn't feel broken. She felt seen, and she wasn't sure what scared her more, that she liked it or that she wanted more. The reception hall glittered with 1,000 small lights, but Iris barely noticed them. Her world had narrowed to the woman sitting beside her, laughing softly at something one of the guests said across the table. Elena's laughter had texture. It wasn't loud, but it filled the air like something tangible, like warmth in winter. Iris caught herself staring again, eyes tracing the way the red dress clung to her curves, the way her hand toyed with the rim of her champagne glass. It felt dangerous to look, yet impossible not to. "You don't drink?" Elena asked, turning suddenly toward her. Iris blinked, caught. "Not anymore." "Anymore?" Elena leaned closer, interested. "Used to." Iris shrugged, her throat tight. "Used to do a lot of things." Elena studied her for a moment, the teasing smile softening into something gentler. "And what stopped you?" Iris's chest tightened. "A car accident." The words settled between them like a hushed confession, weighty, irrevocable. For a heartbeat she wished she could take them back, bracing for pity, for the look she'd come to expect in everyone's eyes. But Elena didn't flinch or glance away. She tipped her head, curiosity bright where sympathy usually lived. "Does it hurt?" she asked softly. Iris paused. "Sometimes. You hide it." "Well," Elena said, neither patronizing nor distant, simply stating a fact. Iris let out a slow breath. "Years of practice." Elena's smile returned, changed, now less flirtation, more understanding. You must be exhausted. The plain truth hit harder than Iris expected. You have no idea, she murmured, watching candlelight tremble across the tablecloth. Actually, Elena whispered, I might. Iris turned to her. You? Elena's smile turned small and secret. Different reasons. Same exhaustion. The band slipped into a slow song. Couples drifted to the dance floor, laughter threading through the music. Iris watched with an ache she thought she'd buried. Elena followed her gaze. Do you miss it? She asked. Dancing. Iris nodded, swallowing. It's like remembering a dream you can't have again. That sounds painful, Elena said. It is. Then maybe you just need a new kind of dance, she murmured. Before Iris could answer, Elena rose, her red dress moving like flame. May I? She asked, offering her hand not to pull Iris from the chair, but to hold it, as if the gesture itself were the dance. Iris went still. People were watching. She felt their eyes. The thought of being seen like this, invited to dance while seated in her wheelchair, terrified her. Elena, she whispered, shaking her head. Don't, Elena said gently, her voice firm and kind at once. Don't tell yourself no before you've even tried. Iris stared at the open hand, pulse racing, then set her fingers in Elena's. The world didn't stop, but for a moment it felt close. Elena guided their hands, swaying in time to the music. See, she breathed. You're dancing. A shaky laugh slipped out of Iris, her chest tight with something she couldn't name. It had been years since she'd felt light, seen without pity, touched without caution. Yet with this woman in red moving with her, something stirred awake. The crowd blurred to color and sound, and the heat of embarrassment faded. For the length of the song, she was free. You're incredible, Elena said quietly. Iris shook her head, tears pricking. I'm broken. Elena leaned in until her voice filled the small space between them. No, you're surviving. That's different. The words dropped like an anchor, steadying her. When the music ended, Elena didn't release her immediately. You make it look easy, Iris whispered. That's because it is with you, Elena replied. And for the first time in years, Iris believed someone. The night stretched like a slow burning candle, and Iris found herself wishing it wouldn't end. The music softened. Guests drifted toward the bar and the terrace, but she and Elena stayed, close enough that their shoulders brushed. Every touch, every glance felt like the beginning of something she couldn't yet name. You know, Elena said, breaking the quiet. You look at people like you can see straight through them. Iris blinked. Ironic, considering I've spent years feeling invisible. Elena's smile was faint. Maybe that's why you see so much. People who've been unseen notice everything. Iris had no answer, so she simply watched her, the way the dim light curved along her cheekbones, the way her earrings caught and flashed with every move. There was something magnetic about her, something that made Iris forget to guard herself. So Elena continued, tell me something you haven't told anyone in a long time. Iris's first instinct was to laugh, but the look on Elena's face stopped her. It wasn't a challenge. It was an invitation. I used to love the ocean, Iris said after a moment. The sound, the salt, the feeling of standing where the world ends. But I haven't been back since the accident. Elena tilted her head. Why not? Because it reminds me of everything I lost. Or, Elena said softly, it could remind you of what's still waiting. Iris looked away, swallowing the lump in her throat. You talk like someone who knows what loss feels like. Elena smiled without humor. I do. My sister 5 years ago, she loved weddings. She said they were proof people still believed in forever. I came tonight because she would have wanted me to. Iris's breath caught. I'm sorry. Don't be, Elena whispered. I stopped wanting people to tiptoe around it. Pain doesn't go away when ignored. Iris nodded slowly, feeling something deep in her chest shift. They sat in silence for a while, the kind that felt safe, almost sacred. Then Elena leaned forward. Come with me, she said suddenly. We're outside. It's too pretty a night to waste indoors. Iris hesitated. Elena, I'll handle it, Elena said, already standing and moving behind her. You trust me? Iris froze at the question. No one had asked her that in years. I don't even know you. Then this is the perfect way to start. Before Iris could protest, Elena began to wheel her gently toward the terrace doors. The cool night air brushed against her skin, carrying the scent of jasmine and sea breeze. The hotel overlooked the coast, moonlight painting silver over the waves. Iris's heart clenched. You said you loved the ocean, Elena murmured, stepping beside her. So here it is. Iris inhaled shakily. You remembered? I remember everything you say. Elena crouched beside her chair, looking up at her. You don't have to walk to stand in front of something beautiful. You already are. Iris's lips parted, but no words came. For a moment, the world was just wind, salt, and her heartbeat. You really believe that? She whispered. Elena reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair from Iris's face. I do. Iris felt tears sting her eyes, but she didn't hide them. For the first time in years, she didn't want to. She wanted to be seen completely fragile, scarred, alive. You're dangerous, Iris murmured, half smiling through the ache. Elena smiled back, a slow curve of her lips. Only if you let me be. And as the waves crashed softly below, Iris wondered if maybe danger was exactly what she'd been missing all along. The ocean shimmered below them, moonlight breaking across the water like glass. Iris couldn't remember the last time she'd breathed this deeply. The last time the night felt like something she could touch. Elena stood beside her, close enough that Iris could feel the warmth radiating from her skin. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was charged, heavy, filled with the weight of everything unspoken. You're quiet, Elena murmured finally. You make it easy to listen, Iris replied, her voice soft but steady. Elena smiled, leaning against the railing. That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me all night. Iris tilted her head, studying her profile in the dim light. You don't seem like someone who needs nice things said to her. And yet, Elena said with a small laugh, I think I need them more than I pretend. Iris's fingers tightened on the armrests of her chair. You're good at pretending. Elena's smile faded slightly. I've had practice. Iris hesitated. Why does that sound like you mean more than you're saying? Elena turned toward her fully, the wind tugging gently at her hair. Because I do. Their eyes locked and something between them shifted. Iris felt it in her chest, a slow ache that was both terrifying and beautiful. You shouldn't look at me like that, Iris whispered half to herself. Like what? Like I'm not broken. Elena took a small step forward, her voice quiet but firm. Because you're not. Iris let out a shaky breath. You don't know me. Maybe not, Elena said. But I see you. The words hit harder than they should have. Iris looked away, blinking fast. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Because I'll believe you, Iris murmured. Elena's smile was soft this time, almost sad. Good. Iris laughed quietly, her throat tight. You really are dangerous. I warned you, Elena said. But maybe you like danger more than you think. The air between them grew still. The sounds of the wedding faded into the distance. Music, laughter, the clinking of glasses, all replaced by the rhythm of the waves below. Elena crouched beside her again, close enough that Iris could see every shade of color in her eyes. Iris, she said softly, can I tell you something? Iris nodded. When I saw you tonight, I almost didn't sit down. You looked so peaceful, but also so far away. And something in me, something I haven't felt in a long time, told me to stay, to be near you. Iris's breath caught. Why? Because, Elena said, her voice trembling slightly. You looked like someone who'd forgotten she was still allowed to be loved. The world tilted. Iris's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Don't say that, she whispered. Why not? Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference because you'll ruin me. Maybe you need to be ruined, Elena said softly. Maybe that's how you start over. For a long moment, they just stared at each other, the space between them filled with wind and possibility. Elena's hand brushed Iris's cheek, gentle, cautious, and Iris didn't pull away. Her skin burned under the touch, every nerve alive. It wasn't pity. It wasn't charity. It was desire. Raw, terrifying, undeniable. Iris's voice trembled when she finally spoke. You don't even know what you're doing to me. Yes, Elena said, her thumb grazing her jawline. I do. And for the first time in years, Iris didn't retreat from the feeling. She let it happen. The sound of the ocean drowned out everything else. The past, the fear, the walls she'd built to survive. All that existed was the woman in red, the salt in the air, and the dangerous hope blooming in her chest. The sound of the ocean lingered like a heartbeat beneath their silence. Iris didn't know how long they'd been sitting there, only that time felt different beside Elena. Slower, softer, more dangerous. The lights from the ballroom glowed behind them, but neither seemed willing to go back inside. You know what's strange? Elena said quietly. I came here tonight thinking I'd leave early. I don't even like weddings. Iris smiled faintly. And now I don't want to leave. Iris's stomach fluttered, unexpected and sharp. You don't even know me, she whispered. Elena's gaze didn't waver. I know what it looks like when someone tries to disappear. And I know that I'd rather spend one night with someone real than a lifetime pretending with everyone else. Iris swallowed hard. You say things like that, and it's impossible not to believe you. Elena chuckled softly. Good. Then believe me. The air grew colder, and Iris shivered. Without a word, Elena slipped off her shawl and draped it gently over Iris's shoulders. The fabric smelled faintly of jasmine and something darker. Something that made Iris's pulse quicken. You don't have to. I want to. Elena interrupted softly. Her hand lingered at the edge of the shawl, just long enough for Iris to feel the warmth of her skin. You're used to people doing things out of obligation, aren't you? Iris hesitated, then nodded. People are kind, but they're careful. Like, I'm glass. And you hate it, Elena said simply. I hate being looked at like a tragedy, Iris admitted. Then let me be clear, Elena whispered, leaning closer. I don't see a tragedy. I see a woman who still has storms inside her. Iris's breath hitched. The way Elena said it, calm, sure, unflinching, made something inside her unravel. Why are you saying these things to me? Because someone once said them to me when I needed to hear them, Elena said, her eyes glinting with something raw. And I don't know why, but I think you need them now. Iris looked down at her hands, unable to meet her gaze. I'm not someone you can fix. Good, Elena said, her smile returning. I'm not trying to fix you. I just want to know you. The simplicity of it broke her. Iris had forgotten what it felt like to be wanted for who she was, not what she'd lost. For a long time, neither spoke. Elena reached for Iris's hand slow enough to give her a chance to pull away, but she didn't. Their fingers met and laced, and the world seemed to still. Elena's thumb skimmed over her knuckles. Iris let out a shaky breath she hadn't realized she was holding. You're trembling, Elena murmured. I don't know what this is, Iris whispered. It's not supposed to feel this easy. Maybe it isn't supposed to be hard, Elena said. Iris looked up, and the space between them simply dissolved. For a heartbeat it felt inevitable, faces close, breath mingling, fear and want sparking into something electric. Then a voice from inside called Elena's name, and the moment broke. She stood reluctantly, her hand slipping free. That's my cue, she said softly. You're leaving? The words came out sharper than Iris intended. For now, Elena replied with a faint smile. Only because I want to see if you'll still be here when I come back. Iris blinked, chest tight. And if I am? Elena leaned until their eyes met. Then maybe I'll tell you what you've done to me. And with that, she was gone, swallowed by the ballroom's golden light, leaving Iris with the sound of the sea and a feeling she couldn't yet name. The night grew quieter after Elena left. The ocean filled the silence, but it wasn't the same. Iris sat wrapped in her shawl, warmth fading where Elena's hands had been. It was ridiculous. She barely knew her, yet every word, every glance, every touch clung like something meant to stay. She told herself to go home. She repeated it more than once. She didn't. She waited. She pretended it was for the view, the calm, the moonlight silvering the waves. But she knew better. She was waiting for Elena. The terrace door opened again. Soft footsteps. Iris didn't turn. "You came back," she said, quieter than she meant to. "Of course I did," Elena answered, stepping into view. She'd slipped off her heels, dangling them loosely in one hand. Her feet were bare, her hair a little mussed, and the sight made Iris's heart stutter. "You didn't think I'd leave without saying good night, did you?" "I wasn't sure," Iris admitted. Elena smiled, set her shoes aside, and lowered herself onto the low stone edge beside Iris's chair. "I couldn't let the night end like that." "Like what?" "Like a half-finished story." Iris's mouth twitched. "You think we're a story now?" "I think everything worth feeling is," Elena said softly. They sat in easy silence, the sea unspooling before them, the scent of salt mingling again with jasmine. Iris wondered if she'd ever smell it without thinking of her. "How do you do that?" she asked suddenly. "Do what?" "Say things that sound like they matter." Elena looked at her, amusement glinting over something deeper. "Maybe because they do." She brushed the edge of Iris's shawl with her fingers. "You're still cold." "I'm fine," Iris lied. Elena shook her head. "You're brave, not fine." Iris gave a small laugh, caught between disbelief and the warmth of being seen. "You really don't know when to stop, do you?" "No," Elena said with a smirk. "Not when I mean it." Their gazes locked again, and the air shifted heavier now, quieter, the kind of silence humming with everything unsaid. "Tell me something," Elena asked. "If you could have one thing back, just one, what would it be?" Iris didn't answer at once. The question pressed too close to places she kept hidden. "I'd want to feel normal again," she said slowly. "Just once. To wake up and not think about how to move, how to sit, how to be." "You still are normal," Elena said gently. "No," Iris whispered. "I'm surviving." "That's not the same." Elena hesitated, her face softening. "Then maybe normal is overrated." She leaned closer, her hand finding Iris's again, fingers intertwining naturally this time. "You don't have to go back to who you were to be whole." Iris stared at their hands, feeling tears burn behind her eyes. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not," Elena admitted, "but it's possible. And if no one else sees that in you, I will." Iris's breath caught. "Why?" Elena exhaled, looking out at the horizon. "Because I know what it's like to live after the world you knew is gone. Because I see the fight in you, even when you think it's invisible. Because," she paused, her voice trembling, "because you make me remember what it feels like to want something again." Iris's heart stopped. "Elena, I shouldn't," Elena whispered, shaking her head. "I came here to forget, but somehow you make me remember." Iris's voice was barely a breath. "Remember what?" Elena met her eyes. "What it's like to care." The air between them broke open, tender, dangerous, and unbearably honest. Iris didn't look away. She couldn't. "You shouldn't say things like that," she murmured. "You'll make me believe them." "Good," Elena said softly. "Then maybe we're both in trouble." The wedding was ending, but Iris couldn't bring herself to move. Inside, chairs scraped, laughter faded, and soft goodbyes echoed against marble walls. Outside, the ocean kept whispering, a steady rhythm beneath the chaos of her thoughts. Elena hadn't said anything for a long time. She sat beside her, arms resting on her knees, eyes fixed on the horizon, as if she could see something beyond the dark water. "You ever feel like you're watching everyone else live?" Iris asked finally. Elena turned her head slowly. Every day, she said, but tonight doesn't feel like that. No, no, Elena smiled faintly. Tonight, I don't feel like I'm watching. I feel like I'm in it. Iris's heart skipped. She didn't know what to do with the warmth that came with those words. It felt foreign, dangerous, real. You're not good at small talk, are you? She teased. Elena laughed quietly. Not with people who make me forget how to fake it. The wind picked up, carrying strands of Iris's hair across her face. Elena reached out, brushing them aside with slow, deliberate fingers. The touch was gentle but firm, intimate in its simplicity. You should let someone take care of you sometimes, she murmured. Iris shook her head. I don't want to be anyone's responsibility. Who said anything about responsibility? Elena said softly. I meant choice. Iris looked at her, eyes wide. What do you mean? Elena hesitated, then smiled as if deciding something she couldn't take back. Come with me. What? Just for a drive, Elena said. There's a place not far from here. I want to show you something. Iris's chest tightened. It's late. All the more reason, Elena said, standing and slipping her heels back on. It's when the world's quiet enough to hear what matters. Elena, I can't. You can, Elena interrupted gently. And I'll make sure you're safe. Iris hesitated. Every instinct screamed to say no, to stay where it was safe, familiar, predictable. But there was something in Elena's voice, a quiet certainty that made her believe. You're serious, Iris whispered. Completely, Elena replied, her hand extended once again. You said you miss feeling normal. Maybe this isn't normal. Maybe it's better. Iris stared at that hand, the same one that had pulled her from her fear hours ago. Her pulse hammered. Where would we go? Somewhere the ocean sounds closer, Elena said with a grin. You'll see. Iris laughed nervously. You barely know me. That's the beauty of it, Elena said. No expectations. Just now. For a long second, Iris looked at the hotel lights glowing behind them, then back at the woman in red. She thought about all the times she'd said no to life because it hurt too much to say yes. Then slowly she nodded. Okay, she whispered. Elena's smile softened into something almost reverent. Okay, together. They moved through the quiet halls, Iris's chair gliding across marble floors, Elena's heels clicking softly beside her. They reached the parking lot where a sleek dark car waited under the glow of a street lamp. Elena opened the passenger door and folded Iris's chair into the trunk with practiced ease. Like she'd done it before. Like she'd been waiting for this. The ride was quiet at first, city lights flickering past the windows like ghosts. The ocean followed them, always just out of view. Iris watched Elena's hands on the wheel. Strong, steady, capable. She felt safe. Too safe. Where are we going? Iris asked again. You'll know when we get there. You're impossible. So I've been told, Elena said, cutting her a sit-along look with a small smirk. And yet you're still here. Yeah, Iris answered softly, eyes on the night. I am. The car threaded a narrow coastal road, headlights carving through dark. Salt hung in the air, the distant thrum of waves beneath it. Iris sat quiet, watching streaks of light slip past. Her heart pitched between fear and something like exhilaration. She couldn't believe she'd said yes. She never said yes. You're quiet again, Elena murmured, gaze on the asphalt. I'm starting to think that's your secret weapon. Iris's mouth curved. And what's yours? Showing up when people least expect me, Elena said, that same playful spark in her eyes. Seems to be working, Iris murmured. Good. Because you needed to be surprised. You really think you know what I need? No, Elena said, but I think you forgot you're allowed to want anything at all. Iris looked over, the words landing deeper than she meant them to. You talk like you've lived 100 lives. Maybe I have, Elena whispered. Maybe one too many. They drove until the city's glow fell away, and the world was only moon and sea. Elena eased off the gas and pulled to a stop near a cliff. the ocean widening out beneath them. The engine clicked into silence that felt almost sacred. "We're here," she said. Iris peered through the glass. "It's beautiful." Silver lay across the water, the waves shimmering as if lit from within. Elena stepped out, circled around, and opened Iris's door, unfolding the wheelchair with practiced ease. "How do you always know what to do?" Iris asked, surprised. "I've had people in my life who needed someone to try," Elena said softly. "I learned." The quiet ache in her voice tugged at Iris. Once settled, Elena wheeled her toward the lookout's edge, the crash of the surf folding around them. "You brought me all this way to see the ocean?" Iris teased, half sincere. "Not just to see it," Elena said. "To feel it." She dug into her bag, produced a small thermos, and poured 2 steaming cups. "Coffee," she grinned. "The midnight kind." Iris laughed. "You're unbelievable. I get that a lot." They drank without speaking, the heat seeping into Iris's hands. She hadn't realized how much she missed this night, air salted and vast, everything feeling bigger. "Possible. You said earlier you came to forget," Iris said after a while. "What did you mean?" Elena's smile dimmed. "I meant I've been running for years. Maybe from people, maybe from memories, maybe from myself." She drew a breath. "And tonight, I stopped, because you made it impossible to keep pretending I don't care about anything." Iris went still. The rawness in that admission tightened her chest. "You barely know me," she whispered. "Maybe not. But sometimes knowing someone isn't about time. It's recognition." "Recognition?" Elena's eyes softened. "Like meeting someone who reflects the parts of you you thought were gone." Iris forgot to breathe. "And what part of you do I mirror?" A faint smile. "The part that still believes there's something worth saving." Iris's throat ached. "You don't even know if I believe that." "I don't have to," Elena murmured. "You're here, aren't you?" Iris looked away, blinking back the sting. "You make everything sound easy." "It isn't," Elena said, voice just above the wind. "It's terrifying." She hesitated, then touched Iris's cheek featherlight. "But so are all the good things." Iris closed her eyes, leaning the smallest degree into that warmth. For the first time in longer than she could name, she didn't feel broken. She felt alive. When she opened her eyes, Elena was still watching, steady, patient, impossibly gentle. "You don't have to be afraid with me," Elena said quietly. "That's the problem," Iris replied, her voice trembling. "I'm not." The ocean thundered beneath them, endless and sure. A heartbeat for everything neither dared to speak, neither moved. Iris didn't trust the fragile hush not to crack. Elena sat close, their hands almost touching on the armrest. Something had loosened in her face in guarded softness threaded with a darker seam. "You're thinking too much again," Elena murmured. "I can hear it. I didn't know thoughts made noise." "Yours do," Elena said. "They echo. Then maybe you should stop listening." "Can't," she whispered. "You're too loud." Iris's laugh was quiet and brief, fading when a shadow crossed Elena's expression. "What?" she asked, wary. "What is it?" Elena looked to the horizon, jaw tight. "There's something I should have told you earlier." The shift in tone twisted Iris's stomach. "Okay," she said slowly. "What is it?" Elena drew in a breath and faced her, eyes catching the moon's silver. "The bride tonight's arena was my ex." Iris froze. The world tipped. "Your ex?" "Yes," Elena said, calm but waiting. "We were together 2 years. I came because she invited me out of guilt. I wasn't planning to stay. I didn't even know why I said yes." Her hands turned restlessly in her lap. "But then I saw you." The words hung between them, sharp and tender at once. Iris swallowed. "You should have told me." "I know," Elena said softly. "I just didn't want to change what this was." "What is this?" Iris asked, barely above a whisper. Elena met her eyes, for once without a clever line. "Something I didn't expect," she said simply. "Something real." Iris's chest ached. "Why tell me now?" "Because if I didn't, it would have felt like I was lying." And I don't want to lie to you. The honesty in her tone cut through the storm of Iris's thoughts. Still, the hurt lingered. So, you went to your ex's wedding, Iris said, and ended up with me. I know how that sounds, Elena said quickly. But this, she gestured between them, has nothing to do with her. I didn't plan this. You have to believe that. Iris stared at her, searching her face for doubt, for deceit, but found only sincerity. I don't know if I can believe in coincidences anymore, she whispered. Elena leaned closer, her eyes fierce. Then don't call it coincidence. Call it timing. Call it whatever you want. But don't pretend you don't feel it, too. Iris looked away, her pulse racing. I don't know what I feel. Yes, you do, Elena said softly. You're just scared to say it. Iris shook her head. You make everything sound so easy. It's not easy, Elena said. It's terrifying. But if I've learned anything, it's that the right things never come wrapped in certainty. Iris's throat tightened. She hated how much sense that made. She hated that part of her wanted to trust her. Why me? She asked quietly. Out of everyone there tonight, why me? Elena smiled. A fragile thing. Because you looked like you'd forgotten what it felt like to be wanted. And I remembered what it was like to want someone worth the risk. The silence that followed was thick and trembling. Iris couldn't speak. She didn't know whether to run or to reach for her. I should go home, she said at last. Elena nodded slowly. If that's what you want. But Iris didn't move. Her hands tightened on the arms of her chair. I didn't say I want to, she whispered. Elena exhaled, something like relief flickering in her eyes. Then don't. And for the first time, neither of them tried to stop what was happening. Elena reached for her hand, and Iris didn't pull away. The night pressed closer, heavy with salt, wind, and possibility. And even as Iris's heart trembled with uncertainty, she realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid to stay. The night began to fade into a softer blue, the first hint of dawn stretching across the horizon. They hadn't moved in hours. The thermos was empty, the air colder, and the silence between them heavier, but not unbearable. Iris watched the ocean, but her thoughts were all tangled in Elena's confession. The image of the wedding, the vows, the smiles, it all made sense now. But what didn't make sense was why, even after knowing everything, she didn't want to let Elena go. You should hate me, Elena said quietly. Why? Because I shouldn't have come to you like that. Not while I was standing in the ashes of something else. Iris looked at her, exhaustion and tenderness wearing in her chest. Do you regret it? No, Elena said immediately. That's the problem. Iris exhaled slowly, turning her chair slightly to face her. Then why does it feel like you're waiting for me to forgive you? Elena smiled sadly. Maybe because I am. You didn't do anything wrong, Iris said. You are honest. Too late. Better late than never. The words hung there, fragile as glass. Elena looked down, her fingers tracing the rim of the coffee cup. I didn't tell you the whole truth, though. Iris's heart stilled. There's more. Elena nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. Serena. She left me for her now husband. 2 years ago. I thought I was over it. But when the invitation came, I said yes because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't care anymore. That I could show up, smile, and not feel anything. And I felt everything, Elena said. Until you. Iris swallowed hard. You don't have to make me your distraction. Elena's gaze snapped to her. You're not a distraction. You're the first thing that's made sense in a long time. You can't know that after one night. Maybe not, Elena said softly. But I know what it feels like to breathe again. And I haven't, not really, in years. Iris's throat tightened. She wanted to believe her. God, she did. But the part of her that had been broken before whispered that people always leave. Once they find their footing again. What happens after this? She asked, her voice trembling. After tonight. After this strange, impossible moment. Elena hesitated. I don't know, she admitted. But I don't want to disappear and pretend it didn't happen. Iris looked out at the waves. You make it sound like you're offering something. Maybe I am, Elena said. A promise? No, Elena whispered. A beginning. Iris closed her eyes. The wind brushed against her face, cool and salty, and she realized how long it had been since she'd allowed herself to imagine beginnings. You're making me believe in things I swore I'd stopped believing in, she said. Then let me, Elena murmured. Just for tonight. Don't think about tomorrow. That's easy for you to say, Iris said. You can walk away. So can you, Elena replied softly. You always could. Iris's chest tightened at the words. It wasn't about walking. It was about choosing to move forward towards something uncertain but alive. Elena reached out again, her hand hovering near Iris's cheek. May I? She whispered. Iris nodded barely. The touch was feather-light, trembling with restraint. Elena's thumb traced the line of her jaw, her fingers curling behind her neck. You make me nervous, Iris said, her voice breaking. Good, Elena whispered, smiling faintly. So do you? The air between them grew thinner, and before either of them could think, Elena leaned forward. The kiss was soft, hesitant, full of everything they'd tried not to say. It wasn't desperate. It was grounding, real. When they parted, their foreheads rested together, breaths mingling in the cold air. Iris laughed shakily. You really are dangerous, and you, Elena whispered, are brave. Dawn broke fully then, pale light spilling across the water, across their faces. The night was over, but something else had begun. Neither said a word. They didn't need to. Morning arrived slowly. Bleeding through the curtains of the small hotel room Iris hadn't realized she'd fallen asleep in. Her mind was hazy, floating between memory and dream. The sound of the ocean, the taste of salt and coffee. Elena's voice sang her name like it mattered. She blinked, disoriented. The chair was beside the bed, the shawl draped across it, and the faint scent of jasmine still lingered in the air. For one long, dizzying moment, she let herself believe Elena was still there. But when she turned, the other side of the bed was empty. The space beside her was cool, untouched. A soft panic settled in her chest. Elena, she whispered, her voice small in the quiet room. No answer. She sat up, her body aching from exhaustion and emotion. For a moment, she didn't know what to feel. Disappointment, relief, or something in between. She had told herself not to expect anything, not to hope for more than a single night. But she had. She always did. The sound of a door opening broke her thoughts. You're awake. Elena's voice came from the doorway, soft and steady. Iris's heart jolted. Elena stood there barefoot, hair pulled into a messy knot, holding two paper cups of coffee. You disappeared, Iris said, half laughing, half breathless. I thought that I ran. Elena smiled faintly. Not this time. Iris exhaled, the tension leaving her shoulders. Where did you go? To get coffee, Elena said, setting one cup beside her, and to breathe. I didn't want to ruin the quiet. You could have woken me. You looked like you needed to rest, Elena murmured. Besides, I wasn't ready to say goodbye. The words made Iris's stomach twist. So, you're leaving. Elena hesitated, sitting on the edge of the bed. Eventually, I have to. My flight's tonight. But I didn't want last night to be the last thing we had without talking. Iris's chest tightened. Talking about what? What happens next? Iris swallowed. You think there has to be a next. There doesn't have to be, Elena said. But I want there to be. You live in another city, Iris said quietly. I don't even know where. Avalon City. That's far. Not impossible. Iris stared down at her hands, unsure. You don't know me, Elena. Not really. You saw one version of me in a single night, the brave one, the one who says yes. The rest of me is a mess. Elena reached for her, warm fingers closing over Iris's cold ones. Then let me meet her, too. Iris shook her head. You make everything sound so simple. That's because I've already lived through the complicated, Elena said softly. And I'm tired of pretending simple isn't enough. Iris lifted her gaze, searching Elena's face. Why me? Elena's smile tilted, a little sad. Because you make me want to be still. You make me want to try. Iris's throat tightened around all the words she couldn't say. And what if I can't give you what you want? Then I'll take what you can, Elena whispered. I don't want perfection, Iris. I want you. Silence fell again, weighted with everything they hadn't named. Iris felt her pulse race. She didn't know what this was, or if it could last, but she knew she didn't want to lose it yet. So don't go, she said, voice trembling. Stay a little longer. Elena's eyes softened. That's all I needed to hear. The hours that followed felt suspended outside of time. Elena stayed. They sat by the window while sunlight spilled into the room, talking about everything and nothing, favorite cities, the worst nights of their lives, the strange comfort of quiet. Iris couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this open. Elena's laughter moved through the space like something sacred, easing walls Iris had stacked carefully for years. You're easy to talk to, Iris said at one point. Maybe because you don't expect anything from me. Elena shook her head with a small smile. That's not true. I expect honesty. That's dangerous, Iris murmured. Then it's perfect. Iris smiled despite herself. You're impossible, and you like that. Elena teased. Maybe, Iris admitted, cheeks warming. A hush stretched between them, delicate enough to feel breakable. Beneath it, a thread of unease tugged. Elena kept glancing at her phone, her expression shifting each time it buzzed. Everything okay? Iris asked carefully. Elena hesitated. Yeah, she said too quickly. Work stuff on a Sunday? Iris tried to tease, faint smile in place. You must have a very dedicated boss. You could say that, Elena said quietly. Iris frowned. Elena, it's nothing, Elena cut in, forcing a smile. I just didn't want to drag real life into this. Not yet. You don't have to hide from me. Elena's smile faltered, fingers tightening around her cup. You say that like it's easy. It is, Iris said softly. When it's me. The words landed harder than Iris expected them to, and Elena looked away, guilt shadowing her eyes. Iris's chest tightened. What aren't you telling me? Elena exhaled and set her cup down. You'll think I'm a coward. Try me. For a long beat, Elena said nothing. Then she stood, crossed to the window, and stared out at the bright seam of sea. I didn't just go to that wedding because of Serena. I went because I didn't know where else to be. My company's being investigated. There's press, lawyers' stories that aren't true but sound true enough to wreck me. I needed someone to remind me I wasn't only chaos. Iris blinked, breath catching. So that's why you were there. At first, Elena admitted, I thought a crowd might make me feel small again, invisible. But then I saw you, and it stopped being about hiding. You think that makes it better? Iris asked, voice trembling. That you came to escape and found me instead? No, Elena said quickly, coming back across the room. It makes it real, because for once, I didn't want to run from something. I wanted to stay. Iris looked away, her emotions threading into something sharp and unsure. You should have told me. I was afraid you'd think I used you. Did you? Iris whispered. Elena crouched beside her, their faces inches apart. No, she said fiercely. You were the first person I didn't have to lie to. I didn't want to ruin that. Iris's eyes burned. You still did. Regret cracked through Elena's expression. Then let me make it right. How? Iris asked, voice shaking. By being honest now, Elena said. By not walking away this time. The pain in her voice was raw, almost desperate, and Iris's anger softened against her will. She wanted to hold on to it. It felt safer, but Elena's hand found hers again. Warmth impossible to ignore. You said you didn't want perfection, Iris murmured. I meant it, Elena replied. I just didn't know how hard imperfect could be. Silence trembled between forgiveness and fear. Outside, waves beat the shore steady as a heartbeat. Iris looked into Elena's eyes and saw it clearly. The truth, the damage, and the possibility of something real beneath it. I don't know what this is, Iris said quietly, but I want to find out. Then let me stay, Elena whispered. As long as you'll have me. The phone rang again, slicing through the fragile hush. Elena went still, screen glowing in her hand. Iris watched tension rise, then dread. You should answer, Iris said softly. Elena nodded, hesitated, then stepped onto the balcony. The door clicked shut behind her. Iris sat very still, pulse beginning to quicken. She could see Elena through the glass, pacing, one hand pressed against her forehead, the other gripping the phone. The words were muffled, but the tone wasn't urgent, frustrated, defeated. When Elena finally came back inside, she looked different, paler, sharper, like the weight she'd been carrying had just doubled. Elena, Iris whispered. What happened? Elena didn't answer immediately. She set the phone down on the table, her hands trembling slightly. They're freezing my accounts, she said quietly. Someone leaked internal documents, emails, numbers, things that make it look like I was involved. Were you? Iris asked, afraid of the answer. Elena's eyes shot up. No, I swear to you, Iris, I wasn't. I left the company 6 months ago. But now it's all coming back to me. They want a name to blame, and mine's convenient. Iris's stomach nodded. Is that why you ran? It's why I hid, Elena admitted. But I didn't plan any of this. You have to believe me. I do, Iris said automatically before realizing she meant it. Elena's voice broke. I didn't want you to see this version of me, the one that's scared. You think I don't know what fear looks like, Iris said quietly. It's been my reflection for years. Elena looked at her, her expression softening. You don't deserve this chaos. And you don't deserve to face it alone, Iris said. We all carry storms, Elena. You just got caught in yours. You'd still stay, Elena whispered, knowing this could get worse. Iris took a deep breath. I don't know how to walk away from something that feels real. The silence that followed was thick with emotion. Then Elena knelt in front of her, her voice trembling. Iris, I need to go to the city tomorrow to meet with my lawyers, my team. It's going to be messy. I didn't want to ask this of you. But will you come with me? Iris blinked, caught off guard. Me? You don't have to decide now, Elena said quickly. But being near you, it keeps me sane. It makes me remember who I am when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Iris's heart clenched. She wanted to say yes, but fear pressed down on her chest. Elena, I'm not strong enough. Elena interrupted gently. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You've known me one day, Iris said. Sometimes that's enough, Elena replied. Some people take years to make you feel safe. You did it in hours. Iris didn't know what to say. She'd spent so long surviving that the idea of being someone's anchor felt impossible. You're asking a lot, she whispered. I know, Elena said, her voice breaking. But I'm not asking you to fix me. Just be there. Iris closed her eyes. She could still taste the sea on the air, still feel the ghost of Elena's touch on her skin. Everything in her screamed that it was too soon, too reckless. But when she opened her eyes, all she saw was the woman in red, raw and real and terrified, waiting for an answer. Okay, Iris said finally, her voice shaking. I'll come. Elena's breath caught. You will. Iris nodded. Just don't disappear again. Elena smiled, relief flooding her face. Never, she whispered. Not from you. The city was louder than Iris remembered. Car horns, voices, flashes from cameras. It all hit her like a wave the moment they stepped out of the car. Elena's hand found hers, steady but tense. The sidewalk outside the Hawthorne and Vale LLP was crowded with reporters shouting her name. Elena, did you falsify the accounts? Is it true you resigned before the fraud was discovered? Who's the woman with you? Iris's heart raced, but Elena didn't flinch. She tightened her grip on Iris's hand, her voice low. Don't let go. Iris nodded, her breath shaky. I wasn't planning to. Inside, the building was cold and quiet, the chaos fading behind thick glass doors. They met with Elena's lawyer, a sharp man named Pierce, who greeted her with a mix of frustration and relief. "You shouldn't have come back," he said. "You're all over the news." "That's exactly why I had to," Elena replied. "If I hide, I look guilty." Pierce sighed. "They want someone to blame, and you're the easiest name to sell." "Then we fight," Elena said. Her tone was firm, but Iris could see the tremor in her hands. Hours passed in a blur of documents, questions, and whispered arguments. Iris sat quietly beside her, feeling out of place, but refusing to leave. She watched Elena switch between defiance and exhaustion, every wall she built threatening to crack. At one point, Elena turned to her, eyes heavy but grateful. "Still with me," she whispered. "Always," Iris said softly. Later, as dusk fell, Pierce excused himself for a call. The office dimmed, golden light spilling across the glass table. Iris finally spoke. "You never told me how it started," she said quietly. "The accusations." Elena leaned back, rubbing her temples. "A year ago, I signed off on a project, just a routine approval. Turns out someone used it to funnel money into fake contracts. My name's on the paperwork, so now it looks like I orchestrated the whole thing." "And you didn't?" "No," Elena said firmly. "But the person who did used to work under me." Iris frowned. "Who?" Elena hesitated. "Serena's husband." The words hit Iris like ice. "Wait, what?" "He was part of my finance team," Elena said. "Brilliant, manipulative, and apparently dangerous. I think he framed me." "And you didn't tell anyone?" "Who would believe me?" Elena asked bitterly. "He's untouchable now. Married, respectable. I'm the emotional ex with a scandal behind her." Iris's chest tightened. "You should have told me sooner. I didn't want you to see me as a victim." "You're not," Iris said fiercely. "You're surviving." Elena smiled faintly. "You sound like me now. Maybe I'm learning from the best." Their eyes met, the exhaustion fading into something gentler. Elena reached out, brushing a stray hair from Iris's face. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "You deserve quiet, not this storm." "Maybe," Iris said, "but quiet never made me feel alive." The words hung between them, charged, trembling. Elena exhaled shakily. "You're unbelievable. And you're reckless," Iris replied softly. "Perfect match." Before either of them could say more, Pierce burst back into the room, his expression grim. "They have new evidence," he said. "Emails, bank statements, everything. Please tell me it helps her," Iris said. Pierce hesitated. "It doesn't. It looks worse." Elena's face went still. "How much worse?" "Bad enough that they might press charges." Pierce said they'll announce it tomorrow morning. The silence that followed was suffocating. Iris's stomach dropped and Elena just sat there staring at nothing. "Elena," Iris said softly. "Look at me." Elena turned, her eyes distant but full of fear. "I told you this would get messy." "Then we'll face it," Iris said, her voice breaking. "Together." Elena smiled weakly, tears glinting at the corners of her eyes. "You shouldn't love me, Iris." "Too late," Iris whispered. "I already do." Morning arrived wrapped in chaos. Elena's name was everywhere. On TV screens, in the cafe across the street, on the newspapers stacked by the hotel door, on the endless scroll of headlines that screamed corporate fraud, former CEO under investigation. Iris watched her pace the room, phone pressed to her ear. Her red dress from the wedding now replaced by jeans and a loose gray shirt. She looked smaller somehow, human in a way the world would never let her be. "No comment," Elena said firmly before hanging up. She turned towards Iris, who sat by the window, sunlight painting gold across her face. "They're going to spin it however they want," Elena said. "They always do." Iris's heart hurt seeing her like that, fighting invisible battles with people who didn't care about truth. "Then tell them yours," Iris said softly. Elena shook her head. No one listens until you've lost everything. Then let them see you anyway, Iris said. The woman who stayed, who fought, who didn't break. You make me sound like someone worth believing in. You are, Elena let out a shaky breath. I don't deserve you. You don't get to decide that, Iris whispered. Elena laughed softly, half a sob, half disbelief. You're impossible. So, I've been told, Iris said with a small smile. For a moment, they just looked at each other, the silence full of everything they couldn't put into words. Then Elena's phone buzzed again. She stared at the screen, hesitated, and turned it off. I'm done running, she said quietly. If they want to come for me, they can find me right here. Iris's throat tightened. You mean that? I do, but it's going to be ugly. I don't want you caught in it. You don't get to protect me from my choices, Iris said. I stayed because I wanted to, not because I'm fragile, not because I'm trapped, because I believe you. Elena's eyes softened, her voice unsteady. After everything, especially after everything, she moved closer, kneeling before Iris's chair like she had that first night by the ocean. Her gaze shimmered. You changed everything for me, Iris. You made me remember how to hope. Then don't stop. Iris whispered. Not now. Elena smiled through tears. You're the bravest person I've ever met. You make me brave, Iris said. A knock startled them both. Elena froze. Pierce's voice came gently through the door. They're here, Elena. The investigators want to speak with you. Iris's pulse hammered. Elena rose slowly, wiping her eyes. Tell them I'll come. She turned back, and in that one look, 1,000 unsaid things moved between them: fear, love, defiance. Whatever happens, Elena said, don't let this be the end of us. Iris reached for her hand. It won't be. Elena bent, pressed a kiss to her forehead, and whispered, You saved me. You did that yourself, Iris replied. I only reminded you. Elena's smile was faint, and then she stepped out, sunlight spilling around her like armor. Iris sat a long while after, listening to the echo of Elena's retreating steps. She didn't cry. She didn't fold. She simply breathed steady, full, alive. Weeks later, the narrative shifted. Evidence emerged. Fresh testimony cleared Elena's name, and the man who framed her was indicted. Iris watched the news, heart pounding as the words "charges dropped" finally landed. Her phone buzzed moments later. A single text from Elena. Still think quiet doesn't make you feel alive? Iris smiled, tears blurring her screen as she typed back. Not since you sat beside me. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, tap the thanks button, the heart with the $sign. With super thanks, you can contribute directly to the channel and help me keep creating videos you love.